Okay, so we're going to use Photoshop to restore a damaged photo here. First thing you're going to want to do is make a backup copy of your original image. That's something we'll be using a little bit later, and all you're seeing me do right now is just using that spot heal tool to go and clean up some of this left side, because as I'm sure you saw in the overall photo here, there is a lot of damage on the right, and what we're going to end up doing is using the left side to recreate the right side. Now you'll see that I'm not just using the spot heal. Sometimes, especially with pictures like this, the spot heal is not going to be your ideal tool for this. Sometimes that clone stamp is actually going to work a lot better when you've got some of these smaller, more specific areas that you need to do. Alright, so now that I've cleaned up this left side, I'm going to address the right side. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that layer yet again, same way I did the first time. By right-clicking on it and saying duplicate layer. And what I'm going to do now is go to edit, transform, and say flip horizontal, because I want to use that intact shoulder to make a better version of the shoulder. So all I'm doing now is just moving it around a little bit, and I'm going to put this in a layer mask. So it's been a while since we've used that. Remember, it's that little button at the bottom of the layer panel that looks like the Japanese flag. And I'm going to put it in a layer mask because I want to be able to remove parts of this picture, but not all the parts of the picture. So what you're seeing me do now is using my paintbrush, which is set to black, to paint away the parts of this photo that I don't need, which in this case is basically everything but that shoulder. So I'm painting it away. I'm trying to get all of these spaces cleared off, and if you look over there in the layers, you're seeing like what parts are left of this photo, and it is indeed everything that's covering up that big hole in this picture. So I didn't do a perfect job, so what you're going to see me do now is go back and forth using the paintbrush when it's set on black. That's what lets me remove parts, and when it's set on white, that lets me bring them back. I also used the move tool there just to adjust it slightly to get it a little bit closer to where I wanted it, and now I'm using the arrow keys to actually get it exactly where I want it to go. So now, like I said, I'm just going to go with that paintbrush tool, and I'm going to set it to black and paint the parts that I don't want, and set it to white where I want to bring back the original image. So in this case, I've got it set to black because I'm getting rid of some of these outside edges, and then I'm going to come back inside here, especially where her neck got kind of messed up. I'm going to set it to white and bring back some of that original collar line in there. Now, you'll see me go back and forth a lot of times here of like, do I want to keep this? Do I want to use the original? And this is kind of where you have to decide what's going to work best for the image that you're working on. In this case, I figured out that I had actually accidentally erased parts of a necklace on her there that seemed pretty important. So I came back there, and I'm bringing back the original image. Even though it's damaged over there on the right, I can still work with what we've got. That's already looking a lot better. And so now I can come back with that white paintbrush and restore the bits of that image that I don't feel like cleaning up. Alright, so now I've got a pretty decent photo going on here. This is going to be, again, a matter of just kind of going back and forth, figuring out what tool is best for the job here. Again, that white paintbrush, as long as I'm on that layer mask, is going to bring back the original image. Black is going to get rid of it. Alright? So looking pretty good here. I'm just flipping that layer off and on to see if there's any like kind of weird little pieces that I don't want. That's a good idea to occasionally do, just to see, hey, look, there's this big chunk of pixels right here on the ribbon. Let me get rid of those. I don't want that. Alright, flipping that layer off and on a few more times. Alright, so at this point I've addressed like most of the main things that I wanted to fix by moving this piece of shoulder over here, so really I'm ready to kind of stick this shoulder together with the original image because it's going to be a lot easier for me to fix other things. So I'm just going to right click on that layer and say merge down. Now that new shoulder that I made is stuck together with the original image, but you'll notice I do still have that background layer as well, so I do still have a backup copy. So all I'm doing now is I'm coming in here and just cleaning up some of these things, again alternating between the spot heal tool and the clone stamp depending on what I need to do. One of the key things with photos like this is that they had these sort of faded backgrounds, so you get a fair amount of flexibility with blurs and stuff like that when you're trying to fix these things. So one of the big things that's wrong with this photo is these big brown stains on it. Now what you'll see me do here is I'm going to try using what's called the sponge tool and the dodge tool, and you'll see me kind of go back and forth with these a little bit. So remember, your dodge tool is going to let you make parts of a photo lighter. The sponge tool is actually all about getting rid of color. So for some of this, I just went in there and clone stamped some of that away. But then some of it I'm going to figure out pretty quickly here. No matter what I'm doing with the clone stamping, it's just kind of being a pain in the butt. So I'm going to need to come back in there with that sponge tool and get rid of some of these brownish areas. Now, one thing you'll notice I did is I take that sponge tool, and it's too strong right now. It's actually picking up more color than I want it to. So I'm going to undo that and change that strength of the sponge tool to make me not pick up quite so much color there. Now I'm just coming in here and just gonna try to use that spot heal tool on some of these like scratches across her face. Unfortunately, this is where the spot heal tool is kind of weak because it doesn't know what's supposed to be there, so coming back in with the clone stamp is going to be a better bet there for not leaving behind a smeary blur. So definitely look out for that when you're using the spot heal tool. It does sometimes oversimplify, and you just need to come back in there with that clone stamp instead to fix what it messed up. So last things here, I'm just looking for any of these last little pieces and scratches, bits of dust and things like that that are stuck to the various places. I'm not worried about getting this frame looking perfect on the outside. I'm more concerned about the main subject and like what's actually inside the frame, because it's just not a very big deal for me to try to get the border of this photo fixed. So, but I am going to fix the parts that are inside the photo as well. Alright, clone stamping away here. Again, sometimes that spot heal is going to be your better friend, sometimes the clone stamp is going to work better. It just depends on what you're doing. Try out both. You will know what looks better when you use it. Alright, so last thing we're going to do with this photo, as I'm wrapping up here, is I want to put it side by side with the original version of the image. So really easy way for me to do that, you're seeing me comparing before and after here, I'm just going to go to image and then canvas size, and I'm just going to make this twice as wide as it is right now. So I'm going to change 600 pixels to 1200, get that move tool, and then just simply move my photos so that I've got them side by side. If your background is locked like mine is, you can just click on that little padlock over there, and now it lets me move this. So I have two images side by side, so you get a nice before and after. And that's what you're going to do with this assignment. You're going to do 3 of these photos that I've given you, damaged images, and you're going to restore them using Photoshop and give me a before and an after on them. That's it.